from Central Pennsylvania, this is CBS 21 News This Morning.
Good Thursday morning, and thanks for waking up with us. I'm Ashley Honea. Here's what's happening in the news today. Breaking overnight, 4 people are dead after a stabbing spree in Southern California. What police are saying about the incident and the person they say they have in custody. Plus, President Trump back at the White House after meeting with the victims of this weekend's mass shootings. A look at the controversial visit and why it sparked protests in Dayton and El Paso. And the family of a man who died in custody is set to give an update on his case. We'll have a live report on that coming up, but first, let's get a check of weather with our very own Steve Knight.
Well, thanks, Ashley. Had a couple of storms overnight, even around midnight, 1 a.m. Still had some rumbles of thunder. Thankfully, that has all now moved off to the east, and we're going to get out the door nice and dry here this morning. Still pretty muggy, temperatures in the 70s in lots of spots. And guess what? As this front slides through again today, we're going to have to watch out for some gusty thunderstorms, some of which could contain some heavier downpours during the late afternoon and early evening hours in parts of our area, specifically north and west of Harrisburg, in that elevated risk category for seeing some stronger thunderstorms today. So another weather watch day here as we watch for these scattered storms to develop after 2 o'clock. Once that front finally goes through, we are going to clear things out for a really nice weekend.
Breaking overnight, a man is in custody after fatally stabbing 4 people in California. The attacks were spaced out over about 2 hours in Orange County and were connected to a series of robberies. Police say the suspect first robbed a bakery, then fatally stabbed 2 men at an apartment. He then allegedly robbed 2 other businesses and slashed a woman and a man, injuring them. Finally, police say the suspect killed a security guard at a 7-Eleven and fatally stabbed a Subway restaurant employee. Police are now trying to figure out his motive.
4 people needlessly lost their lives tonight from this savage suspect. This is a brutal attack.
The suspect's name has not yet been released. The first funerals will be held today for some of the 22 victims who were killed in the mass shooting in El Paso, Texas. This just 1 day after President Trump visited the city. He also met with the victims of the Dayton, Ohio shootings. CBS News correspondent Laura Podesta has more.
President Trump spent Wednesday as comforter-in-chief.
We met with numerous people. We met with also the doctors, the nurses, the medical staff. They have done an incredible job.
He made back-to-back visits to hospitals in Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas, cities still reeling from mass shootings this past weekend.
I wanted to come and thank you because you're very special people.
Reaction to the president's visit was mixed. Protesters chanted outside the hospitals in El Paso
22 people died
and Dayton.
I find it hypocritical that our president comes in here to basically play the part of him being a sympathizer when in reality it's been in his rallies that he has painted us as an unsafe city.
Both sides are using some strong rhetoric. I believe both sides need to get together and actually have a conversation.
Democratic leaders from both cities want action on gun control.
And that inaction in the face of violence and intolerance will find us, and it did. And it took the lives of our fellow El Pasoans.
Do I think that we're going to see another mass shooting tomorrow or Friday? Probably, because Washington will not move.
Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown said he asked President Trump to call on Senate Republicans to take action on guns. Earlier in the day, on his way out of the White House, the president told reporters there is, quote, great appetite for background checks. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
Here in Pennsylvania, Governor Wolf and state legislators are honoring and remembering the victims of the El Paso and Dayton shootings. Last night, a bipartisan remembrance event was held at the state capitol. Hundreds gathered to pay their respects. Governor Wolf and Senator Bob Casey also used the event as a call to action to reduce gun violence in both the Commonwealth and the nation.
I say we're Americans. We do not surrender to this violence. We're going to act, and we're going to end this violence.
The governor also called for bipartisan support, saying both sides of the aisle need to work together to make gun reform happen. And happening today, the family of an inmate who died while in police custody is expected to give an update on his case. Tyreek Riley's death is being investigated by the Dauphin County District Attorney's Office. CBS 21's Joe Ducey joins us live now outside the Dauphin County Prison with more of these details. Joe, good morning.
Yeah, Ashley, good morning. Today, the Riley family is scheduled to meet with the Dauphin County District Attorney. After that meeting, they're expected to release a statement on the investigation into Tyreek's death. Tariq passed away at Harrisburg Hospital from injuries sustained while in custody here at Dauphin County Prison. The Dauphin County District Attorney Fran Chardo says the 21-year-old died after falling unconscious after a struggle with guards who had put him in a restraint chair just before he became unresponsive. The district attorney says the struggle with Riley did not appear to be violent. He says the incident was recorded on video and has been viewed by detectives. Riley's family is scheduled to release that updated statement later this evening around 5:15. For now, reporting live in Dauphin County, Joe Ducey, CBS 21 News.
Joe, thank you. A woman is facing charges after her toddler almost drowned at the Ephrata community pool. Police say back in June, Casilda Barrera de Rodriguez walked away to talk to a relative while her 3-year-old was in the toddler pool. The toddler was then found face down in the main pool, which is connected to the kids' swimming area. Police say the child could not swim and wasn't wearing a flotation device. Fortunately, lifeguards were able to save and resuscitate the child. The York City School District is proposing to settle a lawsuit with a parent who says a district officer abandoned his son. According to the suit, the officer took a first-grade child home back in January on a day when school dismissed early because of snow. You may remember this. But the father claims the officer left the child in an empty house and that the child was later found crying. Now the district is looking to be cleared of all wrongdoing in exchange for paying the family and their lawyers a total of $7,500. And we're learning more about a state police raid at a corner store in Harrisburg. Troopers say they entered the 5-Star Mini Mart on 17th Street Tuesday night after getting a tip about drugs being distributed in the store. During the raid, troopers say they found 15,000 glassine bags, which are typically used to package heroin. Christopher Torres and Jose Mendoza were taken into custody. According to troopers, the men worked together to run the store. ATVs are caught on camera riding down Interstate 83. Take a look at this. A viewer sent us this video. Someone illegally driving over the South Bridge in Harrisburg, popping wheelies over the weekend. Harrisburg police have put out alerts asking people to be on the lookout for ATV drivers. Police say it's hard to catch them without causing a safety hazard. If you do see someone illegally driving an ATV, be sure to call the police. Capital Area Transit is getting feedback on its plans to increase its fares. This week, CAT held 2 public hearings in Harrisburg and Hampton Township. Officials are considering raising the fare by 5 cents starting November 1st. The increase will help pay for updates to CAT's current transit system.
That CAT has to modernize and that there are some cost increases that are going to go along with that and potential service realignments.
Now, the fare will not increase for Zone 3 riders in Dauphin and Cumberland counties. In fact, those riders will actually see a lower rate. It's the largest statewide sweep in a single day. The number of undocumented immigrants ICE agents arrested in Mississippi and where they were all found. Plus, an explosion destroys an Ohio family's home. What the family is saying about it and why police think the explosion is suspicious.
Well, after a few overnight storms, things are settling down. However, we're not out of the woods just yet. I'll let you know we'll see our next wave of thunderstorms with my first morning forecast.
You're watching CBS 21 News this morning.
Well, first half of the day looks dry, but as this front approaches from the west, we're going to have to watch out for some gusty thunderstorms to develop again from west to east. The best chance for these storms to be severe is going to be areas to the north and west of Harrisburg. You can see good portion of Pennsylvania, though, has in that elevated risk category of 2 on a scale of 1 to 5, that yellow shading for some of these storms to be gusty, if not downright severe. So one more real muggy day, cranking that AC again today. Highs getting into the upper 80s. A weather watch day as we watch for these strong late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. On the area highways, not much happening out there this morning. Traffic okay in and around York County. No problems on 83 or 30. Looks good right now in the 81 corridor. Nice and quiet as you wind your way around Carlisle. That's your CBS 21 traffic alert.
ICE agents have carried out the largest statewide sweep of workplaces for undocumented immigrants ever, all in a single day. About 680 migrants were rounded up at 7 food processing plants in 6 cities in Mississippi. Special agents arresting mainly Latino workers and several employers.
To those who use illegal aliens for a competitive advantage or to make a quick buck, if we find that you have violated federal criminal law, we're coming after you.
Immigration officials say the migrants will be sent to a facility in Louisiana for further processing. Legal experts say some could be deported, while others could enter the long immigration court process. Widespread panic in Times Square after crowds mistakenly thought a backfiring motorcycle was another mass shooting. How terrifying. Hundreds of people went running, fearing for their lives, ducking into stores and theaters for cover. Police say the stampede caused nearly 24 injuries, and several people were taken to the hospital. The NYPD says it has increased police presence since the 2 mass shootings this weekend. A house explosion in Ohio is being investigated now as a hate crime. The home in Sterling had a swastika and racial slurs painted on the garage and nearby vehicles.
It's sickening to do this to somebody's home and not even know if they're home or not, you know. We could have been in there, you know, and what if we was, you know, you would have taken 2 people's lives over hatred? Seriously? That's pretty sad.
Investigators say the home had been under renovations because of a fire about a month ago. That fire is also under investigation. Political fallout from the most recent mass shootings, why Joe Biden is accusing President Trump of inspiring the deadly attacks. The 2020 frontrunner for the Democratic Party now accusing President Trump of, quote, fueling a literal carnage. Former Vice President Joe Biden placing blame on the president for inspiring mass shootings in Texas and here in PA. Biden says the president encourages and emboldens white supremacy.
How far is it from Trump saying this is an invasion to the shooter in El Paso declaring, quote, this attack is a response to Hispanic invasion of Texas, to the shooter at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh saying Jews are committing genocide on his people.
In response, the Trump campaign pointed out the president's speech on Monday included denouncing white supremacy. While leaving for visits to El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio yesterday, President Trump said he's ready to move on the background checks. The president says the most recent mass shootings have changed the political calculus around gun control.
There's a great appetite, and I mean a very strong appetite, for background checks, and I think we can bring up background checks like we've never had before.
Democrats have renewed their calls for even tougher laws like banning assault rifles, but there probably isn't enough Republican support in Congress to pass that. U.S. stocks ended mixed on Wall Street yesterday after a volatile day of trading. It comes amid worries about trade and global growth. Just days ago, China said they will no longer buy American agricultural products if the Trump administration goes forward with more tariffs. Farmers here in PA say they're concerned.
You can't just make gut reactions and think physical labor is going to fix it.
Trade agreements are supposed to be win-wins for each country. Right now, we feel both countries are losing. We need to get back to something that would be beneficial for both.
China is the 4th largest purchaser of American agricultural products. Wanda Vasquez is the new governor of Puerto Rico and the island's 3rd in less than a week. She was sworn in yesterday afternoon after Puerto Rico's Supreme Court decided the governorship of Pedro Pierluisi was unconstitutional. However, Vasquez had been clear that she was not interested in the position. Just like former Governor Ricardo Rossello, who recently resigned, Vasquez has also been criticized in protests within the past few weeks.
And now, CBS 21 News First Warning Weather with meteorologist Steve Knight.
Well, we've got a pretty decent start out there this morning. Even had a few rumbles of thunder last night, midnight, 1 a.m. I mentioned it earlier. Hopefully it didn't wake you up because around the capital area we had some thunder and some lightning overnight. But things have settled down, calmed down nicely. But here's what we're watching. This cold front, you can already see I've focused in here on these showers that have been working their way across the Great Lakes region. That's the frontal boundary coming in from the west, and that's going to be the spark yet again today for another wave of thunderstorms. So I think the timing today will be a little bit later in the day, but we are going to watch out for another wave of gusty thunderstorms. Another weather watch day. You know, yesterday had some real heavy downpours. There was some flash flooding going on along Interstate 83 over by Colonial Park, Union Deposit, through the construction area there. Rain just coming down so fast that it just piled up. One more muggy day today, and then we've basically been telling you this since Monday morning. the weekend is going to be spectacular. But we just got to get there. So here comes the frontal boundary later on this afternoon, 5, 6 o'clock. We'll look for some isolated pop-up showers, storms. Again, some could be gusty once again. Some could contain the heavy downpours. We'll settle things down around sunset and then clear things out for the weekend. But the threat today is mainly north and west of Harrisburg. Where we've got that elevated risk, but basically anybody across central Pennsylvania could get caught underneath one of these heavy downpours or a storm that's a little bit feisty late this afternoon and this evening. So on the Muggy meter, this is what we've been looking forward to, this big drop in the humidity. So check it out. The timing couldn't be much better. This isn't going to happen on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. No, this is going to happen on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we are going to enjoy a really nice weekend. Lots of sunshine with that lower humidity. In terms of putting together some dry days here, I think starting tomorrow, believe it or not, we may put together 5 straight days where we are dry and don't even have the thunderstorm risk. But today, unfortunately, that storm risk is back with this weather watch day. Anytime after about 2 o'clock, 4, 5 o'clock especially, we'll watch out for these gusty storms. Evening hours tonight, leftover storm, and then things will settle down overnight. 66 the overnight low. Here's the rest of your first warning 7-day forecast. So yeah, weather watch day for the storms late today, but then look what happens. Mid to low 80s, actually a couple of degrees below average, and with the lower humidity, it is going to feel fantastic. And really into next week, it'll start to be a little bit more humid, but still temperature wise, not all that bad as we hold in the 80s.
Oh, ready for that little break,
Yeah.
Steve. That'll feel so nice. Well, check this out. It all started out as a picture, but you're going to want to check out this video because it is insane. Started out as a fun picture, ended with a Washington woman getting bit on the face by an octopus.
Wait a minute, an octopus can bite?
Yeah.
She wanted to use the animal to win a photo contest, but it barreled its beak into her chin. Wow. She says she will never do that again. She got a revenge when she took the octopus home, cooked it, and ate it.
That sounds like something you would do.
What?
That is something you would do.
This is the weirdest story ever.
Yeah, I mean, so many questions. Where did she find the octopus?
I don't know.
Since when did octopi have beaks?
Yeah.
And why would you
know.
put it so close to your face?
I don't know. I don't know.
And how did it taste?
That I do know. Pretty good. Ever had calamari? It's pretty good.
I have had calamari.
Yeah, fried. It's pretty good.
Can't pass it up.
Yeah.
Well, summer sunshine can be dangerous to your skin. Ahead in our latest Doc Talk, how you can better protect yourself against the most common kinds of cancer.
You're watching CBS 21 News this morning.
Well, major highways look great. Traffic moving okay here this morning. We've got dry roads out there, thankfully, and not dealing with any rain. Nice and dry in that 30 corridor, 283 through the construction, about what you'd expect here this morning. If you're jumping on southbound 83, it is quiet through the construction work there around Mount Rose, heading down toward the state line, and no problems getting into downtown York. That's your CBS 21 traffic alert.
Okay, thank you, Steve. We all know the earlier you get diagnosed with the disease, oftentimes the better the prognosis, and skin cancer is no different. In this week's Doc Talk, CBS 21's Ed Russo takes a look at how to protect yourself from the sun's rays.
The following segment is sponsored by Geisinger Holy Spirit.
You're outside relaxing, swimming, just taking a leisurely stroll, trying to soak in every ray the summer sun has to offer. It's summer. But taking in all that summer sun can give way to something insidious: skin cancer.
The most common 3 kinds are basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, and the third is melanoma. There's probably about 100 different kinds, but those are the 3 most common ones that we see.
We're always told to put on the sunscreen with a good SPF, which helps.
So the SPF recommended by the American Academy of Dermatology is 30 or more.
But prevention measures don't just stop there. Covering the skin with regular clothing helps, and especially important are routine skin checks for strange-looking moles and spots. It's important to know that some people are more genetically susceptible to melanoma, the most dangerous kind, even without routine sun exposure.
More importantly is that you're checking yourself and your loved ones probably like once a month and looking for irregular moles that have irregular borders, dark brown color, often multicolored.
And don't self-diagnose. If you're ever suspicious of a spot on your skin, it's time to get it professionally checked.
If you find something that you're worried about at all, I think, there's no sense in waiting on it. Call, either a dermatologist would be ideal. Many family physicians or internal medicine doctors will do a biopsy too and confirm what it is.
For this week's Doc Talk, I'm Ed Russo for CBS 21 News.
And we're learning more about the gunman responsible for the El Paso shooting. The call lawyers claim the gunman's mother made weeks before the attack and why officials allegedly did nothing about it. Plus, racist comments caught on camera. What a Pennsylvania woman is saying about a confrontation that happened at Sesame Place. And Joe.
Getting to the bottom of what led up to the death of an inmate at an area prison, coming up what investigators say led up to the man's death.
You're watching CBS 21 News this morning.
As of right now, more than half of the Democrats running for president have not qualified for the next big debate set to take place on September 12th and 13th. It is time for the lower tier Democratic candidates to begin seriously considering getting out of the race. They should do that for the good of their party and so that we don't have to witness the disasters that we saw in the previous debates. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Julian Castro, John Hickenlooper, Congressman Tim Ryan, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio, and at least 10 others who are barely registering in the polls are all good candidates to drop out before this next debate. They do not have a gimmick like candidates Andrew Yang or Marianne Williamson and have struggled to meet the previous debate qualifications. Just think, if you can't poll at 2% or attract 130,000 donors and are nearly identical to every other candidate in the field, why are you wasting everybody's time and money to run? Here's the bottom line. In politics and in life, like Kenny Rogers said, you've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. For the majority of the Democratic field, it is time to walk away. That clearing will shine a light on the stark contrast between the radical, leftist Democratic candidates and the common sense, conservative candidate in President Trump.
Boris, everybody wins with a smaller pool of debate participants. Coming up, my thoughts on thinning the Democratic primary field.
The views expressed by commentators do not necessarily reflect the views of this station.
Well, a quiet start here this morning. In fact, we're going to start to see the sun break through those clouds for a pretty decent sunrise. We've got any leftover storm activity from overnight drifting off to the east, but we're just not out of the woods just yet. The back edge of this cold front going to be swinging through during the late afternoon, early evening hours, and that will be the spark for an isolated shower or storm. Again today, could be talking about some heavy downpours and some damaging winds, especially areas to the north and west of Harrisburg. So heads up for the outdoor plans, another weather watch day. But boy, once we get that front through, it's going to be smooth sailing for us here over the weekend. Not only some lower humidity, but cooler temperatures with highs in the mid to low 80s.
We're expecting to learn more about a man who died while in police custody. The family of Tyreek Riley is set to hold a press conference today after they meet with the Dauphin County District Attorney. CBS 21's Joe Gusty joins us now live outside the Dauphin County Prison. And Joe, officials say that Riley's death happened after an incident at the prison.
Yeah, that's right. Good morning, Ashley. The Dauphin County District Attorney says the 21-year-old became unconscious here at the prison following a struggle with correctional officers who had put Riley into some kind of restraint chair. Riley was initially arrested on June 18th for a domestic violence incident. The district attorney says that may have been caused by a mental health crisis. The incident that led up to Riley becoming unconscious happened June 26th. He died at Harrisburg Hospital on July 1st. His death has sparked a series of protests outside the prison. Protesters we've spoken with says it's important we learn the full truth about what happened.
No matter what reason that you're there, the conditions should be humane, they should be fair, they should be right. So it's important to speak out when there's a belief that things happening inside the prison should not be happening.
The district attorney says the struggle with Riley was recorded on video and detectives have reviewed that. It does not appear to be violent. The family is expected to release a statement later this evening at around 5:15. For now, reporting live outside the Dauphin County Prison, Joe Ducey, CBS 21 News.
Thank you, Joe. Something we'll definitely be following. The mother of the suspected gunman in the El Paso, Texas shooting says she called police weeks before the attack. According to lawyers, Patrick Crucius's mom told police she was worried about her son and a gun he owned. A public safety officer then allegedly told her, based on the situation that she described, that her son was legally allowed to own the gun. Crucius's mom never provided her name or her son's. On Sunday, Crucius opened fire at a Walmart, killing 22 people. As investigators look into whether Crucius's attack was a hate crime, some people are pointing a finger at the president, saying his anti-immigration rhetoric is fueling hatred in the country. Yesterday, people in Ohio and Texas protested President Trump's visit to the mass shooting sites. Demonstrators held signs that condemned hate and white supremacy. Some also called for stricter gun control legislation, including the ban of assault rifles. President Trump is now back at the White House after meeting with the victims of this weekend's tragedies. He visited both El Paso and Dayton yesterday. He met with victims who were still in the hospital, as well as law enforcement officials. The president expressed his sympathies and denied that his language has contributed to the violence.
No, I don't think my rhetoric has at all. I think my rhetoric is it brings people together.
The president also said he's open to discussing some aspects of gun control legislation, including stricter background checks. And as we take a live look now at Capitol Hill, some lawmakers want to cut their recess short and return to work in the hopes of addressing gun violence. Many Democrats are renewing their calls for stricter laws, including a ban on assault weapons. While most Republicans don't agree with that, some are pushing for measures like the red flag law, which would allow courts to take guns away from those who may be a threat to themselves or others. Some lawmakers here in Pennsylvania are also looking to change state gun laws. Democrats say they want the governor to call a special session that focuses specifically on gun violence.
A bullet does not care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Does not care what faith you practice or don't practice. Does not care how you identify.
Some state lawmakers say comprehensive actions should have happened a long time ago. They say many gun reform bills have been introduced in Pennsylvania, but were blocked by the Judiciary Committee. Governor Wolf says he wants to see bipartisan gun reform. He spoke about it last night during a remembrance event at the state capitol. As CBS 21's Brendan Kinney explains, it was held in honor of the mass shooting victims.
Starting with a prayer.
We come on behalf of those who have lost their lives.
Hundreds packing the state capitol Wednesday.
We must take guns out of the hands of people who want to use them to kill.
Governor Tom Wolf saying last weekend's mass shootings in Texas and Ohio, along with the Tree of Life Synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, are the most pressing reasons to take immediate action to reduce gun violence.
I understand we must honor the Second Amendment, but the Second Amendment is not a license to kill.
The governor standing alongside advocacy groups, people from the community, and legislators, including Senator Bob Casey.
We've been at this place before, but it's time now to finally deal with what I believe is a uniquely American problem.
Governor Wolf is calling for swift passage of the red flag law, which would take guns away from someone who's a threat to themselves or others. Wolf also wants universal background checks on all gun purchases, and for the U.S. Senate to pass legislation to close background check loopholes on the federal level. Robert Woodkey is hoping this does not infringe on his rights as a gun owner.
That I can still carry as I am licensed to carry, that I can protect myself and my family. Because if my gun is taken away, then I can no longer do that.
We have to take action. The American people are demanding it, and Washington better get the message.
For CBS 21 News, I'm Brendan Kinney.
Thank you, Brendan. In other state news, a Muslim woman claims another woman made racist remarks towards her while at Sesame Place.
She told me to go back to where I came from. Wow, it's Sesame Place.
The confrontation happened Monday at the Bucks County Amusement Park. Zafira Moore says the woman you see here started yelling at her after Moore told her to stop cursing in front of other children.
She turned around and told me to F me too and go back to where you came from. And that's where the video picked up at. I pulled out my phone, I just started recording her.
Sesame Place released a statement saying officials removed a park guest earlier this week because the person wasn't living up to the park's values. That guest has also been permanently banned from the park. Pennsylvania's Opioid Command Center says it's seen great progress in the state's fight against the epidemic. Since it was established in 2018, officials say the center has implemented many services, including the prescription drug monitoring program. They say that program has led to a 27% reduction in opioid prescriptions and has virtually eliminated doctor shopping. The center is also training people on how to use naloxone, a drug that can reverse the effects of an overdose. Officials say more than 6,000 healthcare professionals have been participating in that program. Inmate on the run, the prisoner authorities in Tennessee are searching for, and the warning they're now issuing to people in the area. Plus, a business is facing backlash for hosting a campaign fundraising event, who the fundraiser is for, and what the company is saying about it.
Well, you got some gardening you want to get done, some yard work. Got to tell you, the weekend looks like it's going to cooperate. However, we're watching out for storms today. I'll let you know when we're going to see our latest wave with my first warning forecast. Well, thunderstorms kicking up later on today, some of which again could contain those heavy downpours that lead to those areas of flash flooding. And not just that, but some gusty winds as well. I think our best chance for seeing any kind of damaging storms would be to the north and west of Harrisburg, but really anybody in central PA could get caught underneath one of these gusty storms. But notice we're at a 2 on that scale of 1 to 5, all that area in yellow, especially north and west of Harrisburg. It is going to be one more real warm, sticky day. A lot of humidity, upper 80s, near 90 in a few backyards, and we'll look for those gusty storms during the late afternoon and evening hours. On the area highways, quiet ride, traffic okay right now. Getting through York County, no problems to pass along on any of our major highways. It looks good on Interstate 81. You've